Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good solstice, good whatever it is, wherever you are. How are you? My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is SkyWire, and we are so lucky to be here today. I am feeling very blessed. Not very blessed. I think blessed, how do you feel very blessed? You're blessed, period, right? So my name is Marilyn Shannon, and I am here with this wonderful group of individuals that are here today to share with you from their very, very deepest part of themselves, their wisdom, their profoundness as we dig into another episode of SkyWire. So today we have Mark and Heidi. Hello. And we have Dave. Are you connected?
I sure am, as far as I know.
You
I can
are.
tell.
You are lucky. I'm gonna tell you, you came in the skin of your. We have Elaine. Hey, Elaine.
Hey,
And we have Gail, who's came up with the word today. Hey, Gail. And Margarita, how are you doing?
I'm going well.
Good, good, good. So each week we come together. If this is your first time watching us, listening, if you're on YouTube, wherever you're coming from, each week we come together and we take a listening trip, a journey together that we only can do, not only do together, but we do it together very well. We each have our own personal journeys, right? But coming together as we do in Skywire is so interesting and exciting. And we talk about listening, and we talk about listening from a multitude of perspectives. We talk about it as far as action. We talk it about as far as feelings. We talk about it as far as notions. We find these words and we say, okay, how do we apply listening, or how is listening applied to that word to make it happen? Because everything, as I've said many, many times, gives off information. And what we are doing is we are tuning into that action. We're hearing the movement of something. We're hearing the color of how the vibration affects us. We're hearing our awareness. It's an alertness, and we're tuned into this. And this is the depth of listening that we take and that we go on. So today, our word is luck. And Gail came up with the word, so I'm going to ask her to begin describing what she knows about luck, how she feels about luck, and how listening makes luck happen. So Gail, you want to start?
All right. I like the conversation that we had about luck, because when I said the word to you, I said, just in the Hangout chat, I said, oh, Marilyn, I have a word for next week, luck. And first you said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And by the time I responded, you had already figured most of it out. But so what did I mean? Yeah, it just, the word just came to me, and I didn't know exactly what I meant, but I just trusted that. So that's part of the listening. And so what it meant to me is that I think the main thing is that luck, that we have to hear it, like when we're lucky, we have to recognize that we're lucky about something. So it's all about listening. So that's the main thing. I think I'll just stop there for now.
Okay. All right. We'll take that as a good beginning. Margarita, you want to go from there?
Yes, definitely. And I'm doing a little drawing here to open our heart to receive luck. How about that?
Good point.
So I'm doing that right now because there is beautiful weather here in Kingston, and the ice storms are no longer here. We had frost last week, killed my tomatoes, almost all of them, but some of them were lucky and survived. So I still have a couple of tomato plants that still we're going to grow beautiful tomatoes in the summer. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Cool. Cool. That's great. Terrific. All right. Elaine?
Let's see. I am unmuted. Yes, I'm unmuted. Luck. A couple months ago on St. Patty's Day, I did a hangout, and I called it luck. So I began exploring a little bit about that topic then, And I did come across a rather familiar quote that says, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And so I'm sure we might want to explore that some. But my reflection for today about that is, let's say if part of my preparation to experience the flow of life and the synchronicities and these lucky moments, it is aligned with opening up to a very undefensive awareness, just a very present awareness. If I'm well practiced in that, then I'm going to flow through these days and moments of kind of, just going with the flow, feeling like I'm always in the right place and the right time. But because I'm in this heightened state of awareness, then I might be noticing just much more easily, because I'm prepared, the depth of connections and the depth of perfection that's really happening in every moment. So I would say as we get more practiced, we're more prepared for luck because we believe in the abundance that can really always be happening. Then we'll notice more and more the right opportunities, the right everything is always happening.
So it's not about me being luckier than you.
No, I'm now talking about awareness, because I was thinking about this some as I was driving home from my parents to my home this morning, and I thought, well, gee, if I believe that's true, if I'm practiced in opening up my expansive awareness, then I might have more experiences that feel like lucky, timely, perfect, aligned. But I know realistically in my own life, there are days I'm kind of walking through a fog. I'm not in that place of expanded awareness. And so I probably am not experiencing or am open to these moments of joy and synchronicity. I just miss them. So in that sense, I haven't been prepared. I haven't opened that door to my expanded awareness. I've just been kind of walking around in a fog.
Okay, great points. So now I'm going to ask Dave, are you lucky?
Am I lucky? I think one can only be lucky if one sees things as luck. We perceive things to be connecting to us through a synchronistic way. I don't believe that anybody is more lucky than anybody else. I don't believe that anybody is more in tune with things than anybody else, and things fall into their lap. It's a strange word. We'd like to think of ourselves as lucky. I don't consider myself lucky because I think everything that I've done has been achieved through hard work. Also, I think lucky is sometimes described as being in the right place at the right time. But to me, it's about being the right person in the right place at the right time. I think it's to do with the fact that we have to be a person who is aware of opportunity and aware that things happen and we have no control over them. We're given clues, and as we alluded to, or I'm alluding to last week's show about hints, we get signals and signs and directions hundreds, probably thousands of times a day. And it is our job to notice them. And when we do notice one, we think, wow, that was lucky. And it's probably not anything to do with luck. It's not anything to do with synchronicity. It's not anything to do with being in the right place at the right time. It's not anything to do with it falling into your lap. It's the fact that you were in a state of mind where you noticed. Mm-hmm. and you notice to the point that you did the one thing that overrides everything. There are people who believe in the law of attraction, and they wish for what they want, and then they sit on their bed waiting for that Rolls Royce to turn up outside and be delivered. Or they wait for some form of self like gratification. It's money, it's gold, it's success, and they wait for it to be delivered. And unless you are home, and unless you're ready to answer when it knocks, it's like Amazon. If you're not in, they'll deliver it to the next door neighbor. And you have to be in tune with it. But the thing that overrides it all is action. You have to be willing to take action on something that you notice, to make it real, to make it happen, and to engage with it. And when you do that, you can call it what you like. But if you want to call it luck, that's fine. But you have to be open to receiving it. And we get so many clues and signals as to what we should do, what we shouldn't do all day. And we just don't notice them. We're so caught up and preoccupied in things. When we do notice them, we call it luck.
So it's very interesting, because one of the things you started saying was that you don't think that there are people are more tuned in. Did you say that? Did you say
I don't think anybody is luckier than anybody else.
Right.
I don't think anybody has things fall into their lap more than anybody else. I don't think anybody is more synchronistic or anything like that. I think there are people who are more in tune with what's going on around them because they understand how it works. And when you have in your head your own personal Wi-Fi system, and once you press that Wi-Fi button, you start to pick up signals. And you have to do it actively. It's not something that's passive, because if it's passive, you're not taking notice of it. Mm-hmm. It's like listening itself. It's an active thing. It's not a passive thing. If you want to listen to somebody, you've got to do it. All that happens is hearing. And so once you switch your own Wi-Fi on, people connect with it. Situations and things, stuff, connects with it. And then the connection's made, and you can pick it up and you can download it.
Okay. All right, so I think so far we're kind of in some agreement that there's an alignment, there's a tuning in, which is all listening, because you can't be aligned. Lining doesn't happen, isn't birthed, unless you're tuned into it, and that's a listening, right? So we're all, I think so far we're all in agreement that luck is what your observation and how you've used what's around you. And it's not that we may not have been born with this thing. It's the work we do over time, day by day, situation by situation, that births this into being. So, Mike, maybe it was your accent, Dave, I don't know. But then I take a look and I say, okay, is it lucky that we have the king and queen, and then we have people who can't even, are in slums? What is that called? Mark, Heidi, I mean, you can address that if I would like you to. I mean, where does that come in? Where does that disparity come in? Is that luck? Or is that luck? Is that luck waiting to happen?
In some way it has to do with what I wanted to refer to, because for me luck is a very relative thing. So I can feel very unlucky about things, and other people think that I'm lucky to have certain things. So it's not really a fixed thing. This is luck and this is not luck. It is dependent very much from the circumstances, one, and then from your belief system. If, for instance, something very nice happens to me, maybe I'm called to do a concert in a middle-sized church, and I'm lucky and I can do that. But I think, oh, they didn't invite me for the big church. You know, so I instead of feeling lucky, I feel that there's something missing. So, and not lucky. And other people would say, or I'm lucky, or I'm not lucky. So for me, this is not really an expression which we can use so easily, because it depends very much from our belief structure and how we interpret situations. So, you know, when you go to, when you have the belief structure that you are unlucky and all the time things happen to you, exactly they do, because you are setting yourself up for let's say, unluck, but it is also because you cannot see when you are lucky, because you see you're only not lucky.
Great point. So you could be in the castle, or you can be in a tenement somewhere. And how you live your life, that person living in that tenement, listening, listening through their observation, listening through their action, listening to the world around them, can pick themselves up to be an amazing, right, human being. Whereas that person in the castle would seem to have it all, right? And then look what can possibly happen from the castle.
Yeah, they can be completely feeling unlucky because they are closed and they have to respond to the expectations of other people, and they cannot live their lives as they want. While when they don't have any, opportunity, and they get, maybe a wonderful animal, a prey to eat this night, and they normally don't have meat, they feel, oh, I'm lucky today, So.
Exactly. Perfect. All right, that was great. Now, Mark, what do you got?
Oh, I want to pick up on what you were saying, Heidi, because I think of that in history, we were all back at some place where we lived day by day. And we felt we were at the mercy of the gods.
Well, when they don't have any,
everywhere.
Opportunity, and they get, maybe a wonderful it's down the night, meat, they feel, oh, I'm lucky today,
What luck.
Okay. Yes, it's done.
All right, say that again, Dave.
Okay.
Mark, I lost that.
Yeah, I did too. But anyway, looking back in history, when we were all in a very close relationship with survival day to day, meet tonight. Wow, okay. This was even before writing. This was a time when our hands were in, and our lives were in the hands of fate. We didn't understand how things happened. We were at the mercy of the gods, so to speak. And this went on, and eventually, we developed some early civilizations, and suddenly ego came into play, and we were in charge of our world, and destiny was the call. March over the hill to glory. We were our own gods. Finally, and that became a very anarchic way to live, and was supplanted by the great religions who taught us to wait, have patience, to subdue these raw energies, and life depended on God's will. So we got fate, then we have destiny, then we have God's will, and I think it's a common expression even today, God willing, But somewhere around about 1700, we came into the modern age, and it became not a matter of God's will, but random chance, hard, cold science. A roll of the dice, just 50% this way, 50% that way if you roll them enough times. There is no luck. There is just chance. And this was a really heartless look at things in a way, but it produced an awful lot of stuff in the world. And then I would say somewhere about 1960, we started to have another view past this hard, cold scientific approach, and we entered an age which I call postmodern, where luck came back in, and we could re-magicify. We entered a new enchantment in the world where we could leave science behind and indulge in the imagination. We could play with all of these other ideas, And we now can speak of luck in a way that people before never could. And I'm lucky.
You're lucky. Why?
Why am I lucky?
Yeah.
Because I can look at luck in all these different ways. I can consider them all, and I can see myself in them. I can see when I am not lucky, and I can laugh at myself if I look at it that way. I can indulge in all these various points of view because it's all I've gone through all these stages myself from infancy, and now I can play with it. I feel lucky, and I am very, if you want another word for it, a little bit more respectable, perhaps, fortunate. Okay.
So, and is there a difference between fortunate and lucky?
I don't really think so, not the way that we use it. Lucky, I think of someone, at a gambling table, and, they beat the odds, and they walk out with a wad full of cash. Fortunate is a more of a gentle state of being, where one realizes how blessed they are, how they can receive all this goodness that we've been talking about earlier in the show from these other people, being open, being aware, being listening, and noticing all the luck.
Good. So we welcome Jeremy, and I'm going to ask Jeremy to talk in just a minute after he's kind of gotten acclimated to what we're all talking about. But I'm curious about this notion of beating the odds. Is there such a thing? Is Marguerite?
Yeah, because when we feel that we like beating the odds is actually to open up to the possibility. But if you have odds here that's blocking you, and you have another block here, it's like energy in the body that blocks the flow of this natural, playful, childlike energy that we're filled with. And we talk about that fiery river inside, and if we can actually have that flow inside and stay open to receive all of it, it burns away all of these misconceptions and false ego identifications or what the problems we have, and staying in the moment is, we need to keep track of all of that crap blocks up our house, our body, right? So when we actually, and by the way, Mark, that was an amazing exploration of all of these things. I am amazed. I could not reproduce that at all. Great for you. I mean, I want to say that to you several times, maybe, but.
I'll send you the PDF.
Would you say that to him several times? Because when I heard that beating the odds, that's all I heard what he said, but that was what I heard for the next question that I so was interested in. So I really appreciate your interrupting it right now to thank him, because that was really great.
Yeah, Mark, that was really amazing. Really amazing. I remember some of it too. Science is hard. Tuition and play is good, and then now we're in the postmodern era of magicians and enchantress. I mean, I live at the enchantment healing retreat, for God's sake. So this is like my kind of mindset. I'm awesome. I forgot what I was going to say in the beginning, but I hope that made a comment.
No, it did, because and thank you for what you said about Mark, because when he was talking, it dawned on me how fortunate or lucky I feel, having had all those people before me, defining all of those things, living all of those ways, so that it takes us where we are today, and it gives me even more hope, I guess, for how we all live going forward. So it's another way of looking at it. So this thing about odds. So when he first said beating the odds, I'm like, well, how could you beat the odds? But you just said some things, and I don't know what you said, but you just said some things that really changed how I was perceiving. I heard something different in what you said, in how we look at odds. And odds is not something that is this massive thing that you cannot change, right? It's not set in stone, so to speak. It is something that we can manipulate, maneuver, and beat the odds, I guess. Who else has who else who has something they want to add now?
I
Yeah, go
will.
ahead. Okay.
But I don't even know what. I just, this conversation is completely blowing me away. I'm just like was just sitting back and like just paying attention to how it went from one thing to the next. And Mark, my God, but even Elaine, when you just started out and saying everything you did about the awareness, and Margarita, I am just, I cannot get over this conversation, you know? And it's funny because when I sent you that chat, like, oh, I have a word, luck. I mean, I just had like a hunch that this could be really good, you know, but I am just blown away by this conversation. So there's just one thing I want to say, though. Like, you really cut to the chase also, Marilyn, when you said, well, what about the person born in the tenement and the person born in the castle? I mean, that was like completely cutting to the chase after everybody else said these amazing things about the awareness and the listening. And I really stayed with that because, you know, Dave said something about, you know, like somebody doesn't have more luck than another, or we're not born with more luck, or something like that. And I was just dwelling on that in relation to the person born in the tenement and the person born in the castle. And so maybe, like, I was trying to understand that for myself, because that's the truth. You know, some people are born into much more difficult situations than other people. I mean, that's the truth, you know, and so maybe that's chance. I don't know. That's where chance comes into it. But I think we have to make sure to let go of all the judgment about everything, because you can say, oh, he's luckier than another person. Somehow, I don't know if judgment is inherent in the definition of word luck, because the definition is strange anyway. Like, luck, the way we use it in our society, and of course we're refuting this now in this conversation, but the way we talk about luck in our society, it's almost as if it has nothing to do with what we bring to it. Like, we were lucky, as if we just showed up in the right place in the right time. But what we're all saying here is that it's not that at all. It's like we make our own luck, and we have to recognize our own luck. So getting back to that person born in the tenement, you know, if you put a judgment to it, and, you know, we just try to understand things and think of things, I don't think we could ever really understand why one person is born in such, you know, destitute, another person is born in such riches. How could we possibly comprehend that? I think that's only for the person themselves, as they live their life, to maybe come to some sort of understanding about who they are. So they can be born in destitute, and people could say, wow, they're really unlucky, you know, that judgment that we put on it. But if you take that example of what you said, Marilyn, and what that person does with the life, you know what I mean? They see the opportunities, and they act on it, and then they act again, and they act again, and they get out of that destitute, and they do whatever they do. I mean, think about the richness of the life that person had compared to somebody else who just, you know, doesn't notice the luck and doesn't act on the luck. And maybe they have all the outside trinkets, you know, of what other people would consider them lucky. But compare that to a person who is so connected and made their luck and grew with their luck. Imagine what kind of a life they have, the richness and the divinity of that life. I mean, that's luck, you know what I mean? So it's all a matter of what your definition of luck is. And I think we have to let it go of the judgments. So, anyway.
So I also want to piggyback, yes, perfect, exactly. Margarita's putting her finger up. So I want to piggyback on what Gail said, because this is challenging. You know, I want everybody out there to know, when you're listening to this, that listening to the profound comments that are coming up and the direction, as Gail just said, from the wisdom and how people on this panel perceive and dig and listen, listen for this information, the longer we do this, which is this is a model for life. The longer you do this, the deeper the listening goes, and the deeper the expression of what we're hearing. So this is really terrific. So as you listen and you're watching this, this is really a model for life, because this is the stuff that we're coming up with is what we all could be coming up with, and all, you know, that's available day by day. And for us, and it's really, on some level, it's a challenge. Well, listening is a challenge to take it deeper and deeper to find these roots of these things. So I really compliment everyone for how you're doing this and what's coming up and where we're taking it. So I think part of this thing that Gail is talking about is, first of all, the person in the castle, we have no idea how happy they are, how unhappy they are. They have their work to do too. They have their relationships to build. They have their processes to go through. You know, people get cancer every day with millions and millions and millions of dollars that they can pay for anything, and they still get their thing. So luck, I don't know. I think, as we're saying, we listen luck into being by our readiness, by our lessons that we've learned, by being here on SkyWire. You know, I can look back and go, how did I get so lucky to be with this group of people? Where in the heck do you all come from? You know, I can't even remember how it all came up. You listened for somebody to either invite you, that you heard something, whatever. Lucky, I mean, like, I couldn't do this. I don't know if I could do, I can't say I couldn't do this alone, but I don't think I could. And, well, it wouldn't be like this, that's for sure. This has been so enriching. So this is phenomenal. And, Jeremy, you're coming in twice. Well, that's good. You must want to have something to say then. But I want Elaine. Yeah, hold on one second. Elaine put something up before, and I don't know if we've passed it by or not. But with this group, it doesn't matter.
You mean this?
Yeah, because with this group, it doesn't matter. We can go back to anything. Right?
Well,
yeah.
I was just tickled by Mark's using the word remagicify, allowing yourself to remagicify your life. So I just wrote it down because it tickled me.
Perfect.
But well, I do have another comment about the whole odds thing, beating the odds or playing the odds, or and you mentioned like the cancer thing just a minute ago.
Yes.
And you know, you guys know I was formerly a bedside cancer nurse. So I had a lot of experience interfacing with people and getting to witness how they were framing their experience or their diagnosis. And, you know, some would say they made the decision to take certain forms of treatment, and then their cancer went into remission, and they say, you know, I beat the odds. And yet I know other people that also got cancer diagnoses, and they said, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to buy into that diagnosis. I mean, that's just a compilation of data that some group has some agreement on what its meaning is. But the truth is, when we step fully into our own power, we can look at anything and say, I don't assign the same meaning to that. So relating that back to odds, we could say, you could have a diagnosis of cancer that some might think is terminal and say, I'm choosing for the odds to be all in my favor, and it's because I'm fully going to step into my power at this present moment. And anything about odds is still somebody's perception of stuff in the past. But we're in this moment.
It's a great point. Great point. And who makes up the odds anyway, right?
Right.
Great point. And I have a quote that I'm trying to search for about getting ahead of destiny, and I never understood it until right now, and I'm going to try to find it. So in the meantime, Jeremy.
Hello.
Welcome.
had some bad luck getting started, and then lost my connection. So I guess I'm the illustrator of that luck has limits.
Yeah.
But I think luck exists in a limited sense. I do believe in something called serendipity, and but I think, like others have said, I think in a lot of cases we do make our luck by hard work, and I think a lot of it just has to do with being open to good things happening in your life. If you have positive thoughts and you're thinking good things are going to happen, they're going to tend to happen. They're not going to happen all the time, and all of us have some blend of good and bad luck, and it's different for everyone. But we talk about the luck of the Irish, but that has limits too. I mean, we had the Irish potato famine, which you could say that was very unlucky. Although, a lot of us wouldn't be here in the United States now had it not been for that either. So, you can analyze events like that differently. But that's why I was fascinated when Mark was going through the historical, how luck has evolved over time, and, it kind of becomes popular and unpopular, and sometimes it's woven with spirituality and sometimes it isn't.
Good point. I think we're going to have to do something on chance sometimes. But everything, and I want to say, as we're doing this, whoever's listening, watching, feel free to comment. We'd love to hear from you and hear your perspectives on luck, on being fortunate. Do you have a story to tell that depicts this thing that we're talking about? But understand, we don't have all the answers. But I sure love the way we're thinking and processing, because it sure makes life a whole lot more interesting, juicy, accessible for everyone. So if you know of anyone who feels down and out, anybody who's feels like they've had the you-know-what kicked out of them, this is the show they should be watching. This is the message they should be listening to. So they realize that, the things are there for everyone, including the odds. So, Dave?
Hi there.
Whoa! Tell us what that was about.
Well, I was listening to you and I was on mute. Wow, phone me in. Yeah, the thing that troubles me with luck, I think, is that it was a very arbitrary thing. Whether or not we trust it or not, I think we tend to trust chance. But unfortunately, your life will not get better by chance, it will get better by change. Luck, on its own, I think, is not something that we are willing to trust all the time. If you got onto an aeroplane, and sat down and you looked into the cockpit, and there were all the buttons and levers and dials and readouts and flashing lights, and you said to the pilot, how are you going to get this plane from this runway in Heathrow to land on the runway at Los Angeles International? And if he turned to you and said, well, I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky, I think you'd be the second person off the plane, because I would be the first. Now, luck doesn't come into every situation. I think we are looking at the reality of the situation in as much as it's down to us to notice the opportunity in things. Chance, I can understand. We have games of chance. We don't have games of luck or games of lucky. We have a game of chance. When we go to play roulette or something, it's a game of chance. A lot of people say they have a strategy for it, but it's a game of chance, not really a game of luck. But when we're looking at what you said earlier about people who are very privileged when they're born, like a king or a queen or whoever, as opposed to somebody who has got nothing and born into poverty. We've had situations where we could consider those people being lucky. We could name two off the top of my head. Would be Elvis Presley, would be John Belushi. They have all the money. They're in a position where you think, wow, you know, they've got all that money and all that success and fame, and yet part of them says, is that all there is? And Elvis basically killed himself by eating himself to death. John Belushi committed suicide. And yet we could walk out in the street now and see homeless people asleep in doorways with no money, no idea where they're going to sleep, no idea what they're going to eat next or when, and no idea how they're going to survive tonight. And yet they haven't got suicide in their mind. Mm-hmm. Now, we are all the same in a very unique way. It's just the circumstances that we are in, and we adjust to those circumstances. I think it's chance as to how and where we are born. I don't think it is luck. I think it's just an element of chance, you know, that we are the one that is born out of all the other thousands and millions of, you know, opportunities of other beings of us. And we deal with that hand of cards. It's not, you don't win the game by having the best hand of cards. You win the game by playing the hand you've got better than anybody else.
So let me throw this in here. Reincarnation. I mean, if you believe in being reincarnated, and maybe we've been here before in different forms, and who knows what, and listening is always there, and tuning in is always there, chance has always been there. It's all out there, right? It's what do you tune into along that your entire reincarnated life. Marguerite? And I will go back to Heidi and Mark, but go ahead.
Yeah, like incarnation. I think that we choose the lessons we are having in the lifetime of present before we come in. We sit there with our guides and say, okay, what curriculum will I do now? Yeah, I'm overcoming that lesson. I'm going to do this lesson and this lesson. Let's see how many lessons I can learn in my life. So recapping my own life, I had like 3 or 4 points where I was sort of close to death. And then all of a sudden it shifted, and then I started a new timeline. It's very interesting because then I have this feeling that instead of dying, I actually, okay, she finished that course, now we can put her on the next course, but you're still in the same body. And this was a very real experience for me. And I want to say to Dave that we have to play the hand we have. So I come equipped with something that I learned from behind, right, from the past. Okay, that's my cards. And then I can choose to actually play these cards right now with what I know. So that was my little insert there.
Okay. Right. With what you know, with what you knew, with what you're listening to, listening to what you knew, listening to what you know, listening to what you're not sure about yet, listening to everything that's going around you, listening to the messages it's spinning.
Yeah. It's really strongly right now because it's like everything in the reality on this planet is actually, in my opinion, forming, and it's flexible plasticity. An event that would be this way for 100 years ago, it doesn't exist anymore. It moves very much faster. Mm-hmm. And there is more openings for more people to actually adopt this or this or this or this mindset, and then incredible results comes out of that.
Right. And if it wasn't
I like Gail, who is nodding her head very greatly there.
Well, if it wasn't for this and finding, listening, and everything else along the way for me, I don't know. This is a great place to be. I'll tell you. I am very grateful.
I agree.
To be having this experience with everything speeding up, because I feel for people who haven't gotten here yet, who haven't heard the call to join in the listening bandwagon. Well, can you hold on, Elaine, for just a second? Is that all right? Let me just go to Heidi and Mark, because they haven't had a chance lately.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to...
Take your chance!
Take a chance, yeah. Exactly. I want to talk about chance and luck. I heard Dave talking about it, and it occurred to me that, chance is sort of that modern scientific rational understanding of, what the odds are. It's a matter of numbers. It can be learned. It can be figured out. It can be calculated. And then luck is what does not obey chance. It's the odd thing, the miraculous intervention of something that makes it happen, even though it's most unlikely or impossible.
It can be most unlikely.
Can be,
and
yeah.
still it can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's all we know. We don't know. I mean, here's chance, here's luck. What do we tune into? What are we listening to? We really don't know. Right? Heidi?
We don't know.
Yeah. We don't. What'd you say, Mark?
I don't have to add anything other than, for me, it's, as I said, it's a perception, an inner perception if you see something as luck. And I could say that I feel lucky to have met Mark. But, and there I agree with Dave, I had the first marriage was 19, and I have learned quite a bit. And I had a second marriage and another long relationship. And for having this relationship now, it is not by chance. I can call it luck. It may be luck that I found him, but that we can create this relationship, it has to do with, I would call it work, and suffering and trying to figure out and all this stuff. So,
and maybe you just said something that was intriguing. So maybe as we listen, we realize there's no chance, there's no luck, there's no this, there's no that, there's no odds, there's nothing.
Or it's everything. It depends, how you want to say it.
Exactly. I mean, just listen. That's all you have to do.
Yep. These are all constructs of ours. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Can I just say one thing very quickly, Marion? That if you do take luck and chance out of the equation, all that you're left with is something that runs underpin everything, and it will always be there, and that is reality. Your experience is the reality. A lot of people get caught up with beliefs, but beliefs are not real. They are perceptions of a reality and not an actuality of a reality. And your reality does not give a damn about your beliefs. You can have as many beliefs as you want, but everything in the world around you that is real does not need you to believe in it. It's a waste of time believing in something that is real. So is luck real? Is chance real? Only when you experience it can you classify it as real. I've been hang gliding, I've been parascending. I can describe it to you, and you have it as a reality because it's come from me. But if you describe it to somebody else, it's a perception because there is no element of the reality in your description. So we can only experience reality ourselves. But everything like luck, chance, can be a belief.
Wow.
Can I jump in here?
Okay. Well, hold on. Okay. Gail, Elaine was trying to jump in before.
Oh, sure.
Hold on. Jump in a second. Elaine, jump. Elaine? Can't hear you. Unmute. Okay, go ahead. Jump.
Everybody was talking about playing the hand that you were dealt. And so once again, if you're within the construct of playing the hand that you're dealt and you're feeling like, well, what are the cards? What am I going to do with it? There is this point when you are empowered, and in your more expansive mind, you can say, you know what? I don't want to play that game. I can quit the game, or I can propose making a new game with other things that I have if I don't like what I am dealt. So, I don't know. I was playing with that idea, that's all.
Yeah. Well, that's what all we're doing anyway.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, what else can we do? Except play this game and come together and say, are you getting the same message I am from this game? Because if you're getting something similar or some kind of understanding similar to what I'm understanding, well, maybe we're on the same, maybe that is there's some reality in that. Otherwise, I don't even know what the word reality can even mean, because I could take it apart right now and not even know belief or reality if I really, let it happen. Gail?
Yeah, I really want to jump in because I really appreciated, Dave, what you were saying. Like, I was thinking about something just like formulating in my mind exactly similar to what you just started talking about. It was amazing. And then, Elaine, you really just, in a way, corroborated what Dave was saying in other words, in different words. It's like, I'm going to play a different game. Now we're getting down to it. Okay, what is reality? So I just wanted to add this piece to that, which is what I was thinking when right before Dave started talking, which was that I think when we think of chance and we think of luck, we're basing our meaning of those on our particular worldview. Like what we see or what we were taught to see. But there's so much more than that, you know what I mean? And like when we can really let go of that, black and white worldview and connect in with what is really real, what's really real, what's really reality. Because I think half of us, we walk around in a fog a lot because we just believe what our perceptions are, what we were taught to believe. But there's something more. There's something so much more. And when we can tap into that, the luck and the chance, it's like it doesn't even make sense anymore. You know what I mean? It's like you don't even want to have that conversation because it doesn't even serve, Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think and we have a very lovely person on the chat who's Michael Thompson, who's commenting. So I want to make note of that, and thank you, Michael, for doing that. I think what you just said about the fog could be very interesting, because maybe it's all a fog, and what we're doing here is trying to come out of the fog, but accept the fog. Somebody said something very interesting the other day. It wasn't here. It was about post-traumatic stress syndrome and how when people have had extraordinary things happen, a trauma, they have post-traumatic stress syndrome. Okay, they've classified it as a thing, and then somebody said, but if whoever would have that thing would have, you can't not come out of things with trauma. Some things are just rape or war. You're going to have these things. So why make them into this thing anybody would experience? There's nothing wrong with you because you've experienced this. It is, anybody would experience it had they had that, so nothing is different for you. So for us, I think understanding these things and coming together here is so extraordinary and so thankful, grateful, because I think this is our way of hearing to come out of the fog, to clean it up. And so, it makes perfect sense. Heidi, do you want to tell us what Michael is saying? Michael Thompson, thank you for being here. Heidi?
Yeah, he was saying, commenting on Dave, very well put. This was all, so he is agreeing. And then I saw that now is Mel also in the audience. Hello?
Cool.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Thank you both for being here. And actually, we're almost at the end of our show, so this was amazing. And you will just have to watch it on YouTube because you will not want to forget this. This was life-changing. In the last few moments that we do have, I'd love to hear just a minute from each of you, because that's all we're going to have, of something, summing up, something profound, something. Jeremy, you start.
Okay, I was thinking when Elaine was speaking, I was picturing a card game, and you know, some card games you're allowed to change some of your cards, and I started thinking about, you know, we talked about beliefs that we have and false beliefs, and that I believe that we can trade some of our false beliefs in, like cards, and change our luck in the game, and I just. When Elaine was speaking, I started picturing exchanging cards in a game and you know, boosting your chances of winning. I think that happens in life. It just, you know, it's a visual thing, but
it's a message.
Yeah.
It's a message,
right.
And that's great. And thank you for bringing it. It's a message and something you listen for and to. It's important.
Sure.
It's how they come. Symbols, all those things. So
Right.
Perfect. Marguerite, you got a minute?
Yes, so I was thinking about the cards. Either you can be one of the cards, or you are in charge of all your cards. And I'm thinking of archetypes here and tarot and stuff like that, where you play out each role, each archetype along the way of learning. And when we're listening to, aha, that's my ego archetype of the control freak, let's say, or no, this is like, you know, the feeling extravagant artist who wants to be free and not want to be controlled. So if I can listen to all of those cards and not being the card in the moment, but actually observe what's going on, I think that's true listening.
Perfect. Great. Gail? Yep, you're on mute.
I know, I couldn't.
Okay.
Sometimes you can. Okay. So, yeah. So I think that it's like, it's not about getting what you want. It's about choosing what you get. Because if you accept everything that happens to you along the way and you choose it, you're going to be the luckiest person alive. I mean, just miracles are going to happen for you.
Good point. Oh, this is so good. Elaine.
So I'm going to circle back to Heidi and Mark, who early on were talking about their dog, Fortuna. You know, lucky dog, you know. But isn't it amazing? We live in these very fortuitous times where so many people are waking up to say the real me is something far more expansive than just my body, my physical body that I think can be defiled and die. And so really, let's just rearrange the letters. D-O-G. I'm a lucky God. I'm a lucky divine one. I'm realizing I'm connected, and I'm going to play the game in a fun way. Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Good. Yep, me too. Dave? You're on mute.
Yeah. I think when you look, this talk was about this session was about luck, you know, and we have covered chance, choice, change, post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, you mentioned, you know, it's enormous amount of stuff that seems to be covered under the umbrella of luck, whether it's good luck or bad luck, whether it's good choices or good decisions. The thing with this, I think, is that when you talk about post-traumatic stress disorder and the things that happen to us in our past, people don't get stuck in what happened to them. They get stuck in the significance of the event and the significance of the event to them at that time, and they carry it forward with them. And luck is something that can happen, and we perceive it to happen, and it can be something that we carry forward. It doesn't not necessarily have to be luck. It could be choice, it could be chance, it could be us switching our Wi-Fi on and taking the signals and acting upon it. We have to remember that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And once we understand that, that underpins everything that we do, we'll get to understand everything more.
Yep. And I don't know, maybe we're also spiritual beings having a spiritual experience. Heidi and Mark.
Yeah. Oh, all right. We've talked about card games a lot today. Such a rich metaphor for all of these issues, you know. And I would like to say that I'm just really fortunate to be sitting at the table playing the game. I really am, you know. And each hand is a new chance, is a new opportunity, and it makes the world very magic, very enchanted. Yes, if you don't, predict, don't expect, don't insist on any particular outcome. Yeah.
And I would say I often in my life I thought I'm not lucky, but when I look back, I'm really lucky that I'm still alive, that I'm healthy, that it's everything wonderful. And this card game has also enchanted me, the possibility that we can choose another card, give back one card and choose another card, And this is exactly what they've also said, the belief system. I have chosen to sometimes have some other beliefs as that I'd had before. Maybe not yet all, but I'm lucky that I'm able to consciously choose other cards and can add to my feeling lucky.
Perfect. I want to thank you all so much because today has just enlightened me beyond. So I want to thank you for everything that you brought to the table and the games that we're playing together. And for all of you out there, join in with us each and every week. Bring your friends. Bring the people that matter to you. Bring the people that you work with. Bring the people that you want to work with. Because this is a level of understanding that makes life magic. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone, and we will see you next week.